But my advice for a 21-year-old or a 35-year-old who wants to kick ass and make a lot of money, whether it be for somebody else or not, find an environment of chaos with an aggressive owner, a business where the owner is aggressive and wants to grow, and they are growing fast, and it's chaos. Because then the people who are good, they rise to the top. It's not like you go work for JP Morgan in New York City, and if you have an idea, they say, go back to your desk.
How many hours a week do you find yourself working on average right now?
30.
30.
I don't think I've ever, and this kind of goes against the Matthews Mentality podcast mantra, but I don't think I've ever averaged over 40-hour work week for a full year in my life.
So the Matthews Mentality would suggest, wow, Nick, you're doing great, 30 hours a week. Imagine what you could do if you did 60 hours a week.
I think I would be in the weeds working on the wrong things. I think I have a few, and look, it's an evolution. I'm not talking to somebody who's just starting out. Freaking grind, work. I was in a seasonal business. Those 3 months of busy season, I fucking worked. I slept in warehouses. I crushed myself. I would lose 20 pounds. But then I'd go hang out in Florida and work 20 hours a week on important shit the rest of the time. It allowed me to step back and make, like, okay, where's the highest leverage activity that I can work on?
And it sounds like a lot of the opportunity to grow your wealth and not have to work crazy hours is from your social media.
I'm operating all of a sudden from a massive point of leverage.
Okay, but a question for you as it relates to social media, and I think I've asked this a couple of times in the past on this podcast, Zach, is do you think your message would have been as well received if you didn't have the credibility of actually having done what you had done in terms of the storage flips and all that?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate part and uncomfortable part of social media is that you have to brag on yourself. Because every piece of advice that I get on the internet, I filter through the quality of the person who gave me the advice.
So that, I was
if
gonna
someone
say,
non on there, if Mom's Basement 42069 makes a comment on my tweet and says, Nick, you're a dumbass. You're thinking about all these things the wrong way. This is exactly how you're going to go broke. Probably going to ignore it. But if Warren Buffett or Elon Musk responds to my tweet and says, Nick, you're a dumbass. These are all the ways that you can go broke.
Let me evaluate what they're saying.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting is, and it gets back to working, is you had to clearly at some point work very hard from a traditional just time and energy poured into, meeting with the city for 9 months, developing a project from the ground up as the GC,
driving
which
trucks and warehouses,
driving trucks, warehouses, all that. I've had this conversation with some of the younger professionals, not just at this company, but just in general, who ask for advice because they're like, oh, I see you're on social media. And I was like, this is my opinion. It's a strong opinion, but it's like, you got to give the world a reason to value your opinion before you give the world your opinion. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
100%.
And so that's
what everybody's afraid to do.
So you had given the world a reason to value your advice on how to build a startup business because you had effectively done it multiple times, created a successful startup.
Yeah. I mean, why? You look at the top 10,000 accounts on Twitter and the ones with the most followers. 10% of them are politicians who rose up through the swamp to get to the top. 10% of them are professional athletes that are the best in the world at what they do. Mm-hmm. Then you got musicians that are the best in the world. Then it's no different in business. People want to follow people who have done notable things, period. That's it.
Yeah, and
So unfortunately, if you want to build a big audience and you want to have all this leverage and you want to have all this fun, you want to meet people, unfortunately, you got to go do the damn work first.
You have to have the credibility. Yeah. And I think that's where so many young professionals are looking to skip the line, where it's like, hey, you got to go actually put in the work and build a career that you can then use as your credibility piece when you go out and give a bunch of advice and look to leverage social media in other ways.
At least that's how I see it. I was listening to you and Trent talk, and you made a very good point, but I kind of disagree with part of it. You said a year's experience is a year's experience. So many kids nowadays just want to skip it. They want to get a year's experience in 3 months. Well, I actually kind of have some advice on how to get a different type of experience. So yes, you're absolutely right that a year's experience is a year's experience, but not all experience is created equal. I found an environment of chaos. I found a chaotic environment where tons of problems, tons of dynamic situations. I had to learn a lot really fast, and I got 20 years of normal experience in 5 years because I was going out doing crazy things. I was uncomfortable every day. I was having to fire people that stood up in my wedding a couple of weeks before, and they're crying in my arms because that's what happens when you hire friends and family. I had to watch one of my drivers put diesel fuel in my gasoline truck on the busiest day of the year when we could not afford that to happen. I had to go into a warehouse that had flooded, and I had to call 20 parents and say, hey, look, your stuff got ruined. It's just uncomfortable, difficult situations, day after day after day after day after day. And when you're in that environment of chaos, amazing things happen and you can really grow. So my advice to somebody who just wants to do well in life, whether you're working for a company or being an entrepreneur, I pretty firmly believe that something I've changed my mind on is that not everybody's built to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody should try.
Would you say not everybody or most people?
I think 95% of people are not cut out for what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
I agree.
They pay us the big bucks because we do really hard shit. We have uncomfortable conversations. We take a lot of risk. That's not for everybody. Most people want to go home at 5 o'clock and turn their phone off. That can't exist when you're an entrepreneur. But my advice for a 21-year-old or a 35-year-old who wants to kick ass and make a lot of money, whether it be for somebody else or not, find an environment of chaos with an aggressive owner. A business where the owner is aggressive and wants to grow, and they are growing fast, and it's chaos. Because then the people who are good, they rise to the top. It's not like you go work for JP Morgan in New York City, and if you have an idea, they say, go back to your desk.
Mm-hmm. What you've spoken a lot about the benefits of being an entrepreneur. You know, obviously, ideally, wealth follows that, but maybe it's getting to a point where you don't have to spend as much time in the grind, but you could still participate in wealth creation. What have been the biggest drawbacks, or what have been the biggest challenges associated with your career pursuits? Just
the sheer number of uncomfortable things you have to deal with when you're the owner of a business. You know it. When our phone rings, if our phone rang right now, it's a problem. Other people that are inside of a company, they just get to pass that problem on to somebody above them. Hey, that's not my pay grade. I'm going to pass it on. So yeah, it's uncomfortable situation after uncomfortable situation. The phone rings and damn, I got to fire somebody.
What was the closest you ever got, probably associated with the most uncomfortable moment where you might have even entertained the idea of like, maybe I don't want to do this?
I know the answer to that vividly. I was in Boston. It was 2014. We had just gotten 10 times as many customers as we thought we were going to get. And the pickup season was not organized. Meaning, if we have a bad pickup season, we pick up all these boxes and they're not labeled, they're not put in the right spot, delivery is going to be a nightmare. And we didn't even know what we didn't know. We show up to deliver this stuff. And delivery season also spans out in Boston from August 15th to September 15th. It's a long season. And in that month period, I worked all but 3 hours a day. I would drive trucks all day, get home, make the schedules, answer customer service emails until 2 a.m., then load the trucks up from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. and send them back out. And I go run a truck by myself. And somebody would bring me another full truck after lunch. I'd unload that truck myself too. I did that for 7 days straight. I was underweight. I hadn't eaten enough. I lost 20 pounds. My pants were falling off. I was chafing so bad between my legs that it was bloody. I was taking showers with baby wipes in the back of my truck and putting on new shirts and throwing away the old ones. I'm sleeping in the warehouse, and 7 days in, my employees were failing. They were quitting. They were leaving. It was getting worse and worse and worse. And on one day, somebody topped the truck on Sturrow Drive in Boston. So ripped the top off of a truck by going down a road they shouldn't have went down. And another guy abandoned the truck in Brighton, just left the keys. I pulled over on the side of the road and had a mental breakdown. Called my mom crying, saying, what the fuck am I doing with my life? That was a horrible idea to call her because that just stressed her out really bad. Curled up in a little ball in a bush. I know exactly where I was in Boston. And then called my business partner and he's like, Nick, get your shit together. He's like, what are you going to do? Like, get up, get in the truck and drive.
Yeah, this isn't helping.
Yeah, get up, get in the truck and drive. He said it 4 times. I hung up the phone, got up, got in the truck and drove.
And you just worked through it?
Just worked, yeah. But it was, that's the stuff that will make you not want to be there. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
And that's when you said, we need to sell.
No, we didn't sell that thing for 6 more years after that.
That's when you said, we need to figure out this pickup strategy.
That's when we said, we got to get better. Yeah, exactly.
But again, that actually speaks to your 20 years of experience in 5 years. Like, it's accelerating the horridly uncomfortable moments that really are in essence required for personal growth.
Yeah, and I realized that if I can't delegate and hire and manage people, I'm never going to succeed. I'm never going to get rich.
And I'm just very, very high level generalizing. A normal person has 2 or 3 moments a year that are really uncomfortable, that force growth, or like whether it's a really tough decision or recognizing a failure, or even dealing with success. You were accelerating it to like 30 to 40 a year.
I was 23 years old when that happened.
Yeah.
Insanity. I had no business doing that.
Most 23-year-olds are driving a truck and they pull over to the side and they say, man, I don't want to do this anymore. And they just leave it there in Brighton. Right?
Exactly right. Big news, guys. I created a free PDF that details my method on how I analyze a self-storage facility and figure out what it's worth. Give me a pen, the back of a napkin, and a couple metrics, and I can figure out about what the property is going to be worth to me. If you want to download this PDF, click in the show notes, the first link, and you can give me your email address, and you get a email right away with a 4-page PDF that outlines exactly how I think about underwriting or giving my initial analysis on a self-storage facility. Again, click the link in the show notes, and you're going to get that document for free. This episode of Sweaty Startup is brought to you by SupportShepherd.com. SHEPHERD. They are a full-service headhunting agency in the Philippines to help you find talent for your service business at 20% of the cost of U.S. equivalents. I've hired 8 employees through Support Shepherd. I cannot speak highly enough about how it is revolutionizing my business. This company finds you candidates, they background check them, they do personality tests, they make sure they're a good fit based on your job description, they set up the interviews, and they even help you with the employment contract when you're ready to make the hire. I cannot recommend them enough. Check out SupportShepherd.com to learn more.